Good morning, field biology. Today we will talk through the second half of the carnivores, numbers 19 through 42. So once again, we're still on carnivores here. Recall that carnivores are meat eaters. We're going to run into some animals today that many people probably forget are carnivores, maybe confuse them with rodents based on their size and some of their maybe the way people see them or the way that people view them. All right, so I'll start off with some obvious ones first here. Start off with the bears today, and number 19 is the black bear. Probably our most common bear in North America, and generally comes in a black color, hence the name black bear. However, once in a while we can get some other colors of those black bears. So the black bear is very similar to the red fox in the fact that it does come in some alternate phase colors, and these are lifelong colors. So this bear here, it's not like a seasonal change. It's a brownish type coat. So this is called the brown phase of the black bear. Sometimes they call it the cinnamon phase too, because of the reddish brown tint. Number 21, this is called the black bear white phase. And once again, not an albino. We do have pigment. The eyes have color. The nose has color. We aren't seeing pink in here. So not an albino, but this is a black bear. And given the way it inherited its genes, it has a white coat, kind of the complete opposite of its name. Number 22 is the grizzly bear. The grizzly bear's name comes from the fact that its hair is what we would call grizzled, or kind of like it's frosted on the end. And so it gets kind of just a different appearance to its fur, that grizzled look. The features to point out on the grizzly bear as compared to the black bear, one of the telltale signs is this shoulder hump, and this is actually a bunch of muscle. So the reason it has that hunched look to its shoulder or back is the tremendous amount of muscle that animal contains, showing its power and its strength. Much bigger bear than a black bear. Much more dangerous bear than a black bear. Here's another picture of a grizzly. Grizzlies also, if their head is up, like in this one, and we aren't seeing the shoulder, the face does have sort of a distinctive heart shape, where it has a little bit of an indentation in the middle of the skull, or the middle of I shouldn't say the skull, but the flesh and the other parts of the face. Reminds you that it's a very cuddly and lovable bear, right? Maybe, maybe not. Number 24. Number 24 is the polar bear, probably one of the easiest ones for you guys to identify. Here we have another hint as to the climate of the bear by its physical features. The white fur helping it to blend in. The small ears, notice how tiny those ears are in comparison to the head, to keep them safe and warm from the cold of its climate. Now we get into some bear-like animals. Number 25 is the raccoon. Notice the spelling of raccoon, 2 C's and 2 O's. Raccoons are easy to identify because of their mask. Sometimes they call these animal bandits because of not only their appearance, but their demeanor and their way of life. They are kind of a sneaky, clever animal of the night that can get into stuff, cause problems for us. They're a really cool animal. So I'm hoping we have some raccoon stories to tell in class. We have a few animals that are raccoon-like that are somewhat difficult to pinpoint sometimes. This one's called a coati or coati. These live in the southwest part of the United States. And as compared to a raccoon, where a raccoon had a black mask, the coati has sort of a white outline of a mask here. So it's in a way it's sort of the opposite of a raccoon's face patterns. Both have sort of a striped tail or a banded tail, but not as much as this guy. So number 27 is the ringtail, pretty appropriately named. This is a nocturnal animal from the southwest part of the United States. We can tell that because of the big eyes. So animals that have these really large big eyes, we can tell they're active at night. And so this is an animal very much like a raccoon, a little more slender looking, and its tail is extremely long and striped. So that should be an easy one. Number 28 is the badger. This is University of Wisconsin's mascot. The badger is pretty easy to pinpoint. The striped face gives it away. We have a white stripe going down the middle of the nose, some black and white banding throughout the remainder of the face, and these large claws. So they are master excavators. These animals go into rodent burrows and dig in there. They actually feed on the rodent, and in the process can leave some pretty big burrows behind. Number 29, the wolverine. A couple things you'll notice with the wolverine. First of all, the massive feet. Notice their footprint surface area here is pretty large compared to other animals of similar size. And the massive claws. Wolverines are probably one of the best suited animals for running on snow. Their foot is like a built-in snowshoe because of its size. These live in the northern part of North America. So you're talking Canada, Alaska. Once in a great while, you'll hear of a wolverine in the southern 48. We had a wolverine in North Dakota a few years back. Very rare, but sometimes it can happen. Other clues for the wolverine would be some golden fur on the side of its hip area and in the chest area. All right, now we're going to get into our weasel-like animals that are, I'd say there's a lot of similarity in these, a couple subtle differences. So the marten, sometimes called the pine marten, is an animal of the forests, and they're nice dark fur with a sheen to it and a little bit of golden patches in the throat and neck region. Okay. Marten in North Dakota live just in two areas, the foresty areas of the Pembina Gorge. If you ever skied in Walhalla or gone up there, you might know that. And then the other area is up by the Turtle Mountains of North Dakota. If you ever heard of Belcourt or Bottineau, that area too has some marten in it. But they're not real super common in our state. A larger relative of the marten is number 31, the fisher. And we do have more fishers around here than we have martens. Fishers are common in any river, valley, or river system. It's like the Red River. It's common to see fishers, the Turtle River, the Forest River up north there. Now the name fisher really has nothing to do with them catching fish. They don't even do that. They believe somebody got this animal mistaken with the mink and gave it the name Fisher, and it just kind of stuck. So this animal, though, is a good climber. It's a predator of larger mammals that live around, like squirrels and rabbits and things like that. Just a really neat predator. Sometimes you'll hear school mascots called bearcats, and with all of that said, the closest thing people can give the name bearcat to is the Fisher, and so it's kind of a slang term for that animal. Finds its way into a lot of school mascot roles. Number 32. Number 32 is the river otter, and we do have otters around here. If you've ever gone to a zoo, you may have seen otters play. They're a very smart animal. They're very playful, very energetic. But we do have freshwater otters. We also have seawater otters. So 33 here is the sea otter. So we'll just go back and forth and show you. Really, for our knowledge, it's a size difference. Sea otters tend to be bigger. Just think of seas being bigger than rivers. And around here we'd have a river otter. But there are various kinds of otters around the world. Number 34 is called the black-footed ferret. And this one, I do want you to take note of the entire name. Most people relate the word ferret to pets. There are domestic ferrets that are had as pets, but we do have wild ferrets too, and particularly this one. This one actually lives in South Dakota, south of us, in South Dakota, maybe even parts of North Dakota. At one point, this animal was thought to be extinct, and then they discovered more of them in the Dakotas. So it's kind of a cool localized story here. If you watch the news, at least once a year, you'll see a story about the black-footed ferrets of South Dakota. And obviously, there's a lot of work going into protecting them and conserving them and making sure people are aware of them. Number 35 is the mink, and this is the one that is assumed was mistaken for the Fisher and led to the name of the Fisher. A mink will feed a little more close to the water's edge or on shorelines, particularly things like muskrats and stuff. Ways to tell a Fisher from a marten, from a mink. The mink here, it does have a little bit of white or lighter color in its chin area. Not so much the neck. There's a little bit on this one, more so in the chin. Very sleek fur, very short and dense and dark, sleek looking, shiny looking fur. Mink coats are usually a status symbol. Someone who's very, very wealthy may have a mink jacket. Thousands and thousands of dollars go into that garment. All right, our next grouping are the weasels. And these can be a little difficult initially, but once you get the hang of it, it's pretty easy. So our biggest weasel of our area is called the long-tailed weasel. And you can actually see his tail goes not to here, it actually goes all the way to here. So the very end of their tail is tipped in black. We have a brown, kind of a lighter yellowish white belly and neck. Okay, this is the long-tailed weasel. Like I said, our biggest weasel, you're talking like a foot in length, roughly. If you look close, you can see the animal looking back at you. This is also a long-tailed weasel. This is its winter coat. And so the long-tailed weasel, actually all the weasels are very similar to the jackrabbit, or the jackrabbit, which we haven't got to yet, and the Arctic fox. They do change color based on the seasons. So long-tailed weasels in the winter are going to look like this. Notice the only thing that isn't white fur-wise is the tail tip. Okay, and so I want you to think really hard about that. See if you can come up with a way, or see if you can come up with an idea of why that stays like that. We'll talk about it in 2 days on our discussion of these carnivores. See if anyone has a good idea. Don't look it up. Just think about it. And all right, 38 is the short-tailed weasel, as is 39. So we can see from these two slides that just like the long-tailed weasel, the short-tailed weasel does change color depending on the season. Okay, and notice its tail is a little shorter compared to its body length as that of the long-tailed weasel. If you need to, just go back and look at the pictures over and over, and it'll make sense. We can do that when we review too. Now you'll notice no snow on the ground here. That's because changes for animal behavior typically are dictated by hours of daylight and hours of night. So it really has nothing to do with the fact that there's snow. I mean, we don't have any snow right now on December 8th, but our jackrabbits, they're white. If you were to see a weasel right now, it would also be white. Okay, so they don't have the ability to shut that on and off and turn it. It's going to happen. It's going to happen when it's going to happen. Number 40, not a real great picture, you guys, but this is the least weasel, and the name least draws the attention, or our attention, to the fact that this animal is the smallest of the weasels. And it also changes color, but I didn't put a picture of that for you. And our last two carnivores are skunks. We have the striped skunk, pretty obvious where the name comes from. We've got a bold white and black striping system going down the back. Even starts in the head there, goes down the back and even into the tail. This is its basically a warning color. In nature, when we see highly contrasting colors, sometimes that's a warning. And we all know what the skunk will do if you don't heed that warning. It can spray you. And that can be, if it happens to your dog or it happens to you, it can be a, kind of a problem, I guess, so to say. Hopefully we have some skunk stories for class. And the last carnivore on the list is another skunk. This is called the spotted skunk. And so this one has just a different pattern. It's a different species, of course, but the color pattern's a little different, but yet there still is that contrast of black right next to bright white to let us know that, hey, stay away from me. I can make your life a little bit miserable. So, all right, that is the carnivore slideshow number 2. Thanks for watching. Please go fill out the exit ticket and be ready for us to review this stuff. Have a good day.